To impose respect without raising one's voice is the most refined art of power. Many believe authority is born from shouting or threats. They are mistaken. True power lies in the silence that compels others to speak for you. Along this path, Machiavelli left us hidden secrets, keys that once understood can tip the balance of power in an instant, even against stronger adversaries. When a man enters a hall and all fall silent, it is not his voice that governs, but his presence. The silence he imposes awakens in others the need to measure their words, to adjust, to guard their gestures. Respect is born of the invisible. It is not sound that dominates, but the absence of it. The first secret of Machiavelli is this: make your silence an invisible sword, sharper than any word. The second secret is posture. He who seeks respect must learn to speak before even opening his lips. The body is the emissary of the spirit. The head held high, the steady gaze, the restrained gestures. Each detail sends messages more powerful than long speeches. He who bends conveys weakness. He who commands his posture wins reverence. Thus, silent authority begins with what is shown to the world. Machiavelli said, "The man who rules his face rules his fate." The third secret is the gaze. The eyes need not dart about. A fixed, steady, controlled look reveals courage and awakens fear. The great leaders of history did not shout to command. They sustained gazes that pierced like blades. He who learns to look without fear turns others into mirrors, reflecting respect in every gesture. But there is something subtler: the economy of words. The fourth secret is never to waste syllables. Speaking less but with precision creates a field of force around oneself. Each spoken word becomes gold, for it is not offered in abundance. Those who speak too much become predictable. Those who weigh their phrases command mystery. Selective silence builds a space where others seek approval in every brief reply. The fifth secret is mastery of time. The respected man is never rushed. He controls seconds as if they were rare coins. He enters when he wills, responds when he wishes, acts at the moment most favorable to him. This calculated slowness conveys the idea that he governs not only his own life, but also the rhythm of others. He who hurries shows dependence. He who commands time becomes the center of other universes. Yet to impose respect does not mean to repel all. The sixth secret is selective silence before offense. A petty man replies to every provocation. A great one chooses which battles merit his gesture. Ignoring the irrelevant attack shows superiority. But when he finally replies, the impact is devastating. It is thunder after long calm. Respect is born, paradoxically, more from what is left unchallenged than from what is confronted. The seventh secret: presence in space. He who desires respect must occupy the environment without effort, as if the place had always been his. This is not done with ostentation, but with the calm firmness of one who asks no permission. The simple act of standing upright, not shrinking, of positioning himself at the center when necessary, creates an aura of dominion. Physical space is the extension of power, and the body its banner. The eighth secret, and perhaps the deepest, is coherence between silence and action. He who says nothing yet acts firmly inspires fear. He who speaks much and achieves little inspires laughter. Respect is the fruit of constancy. If your word is rare and your action exact, all will learn that each gesture of yours carries the weight of a sentence. Silence creates expectation, and action fulfills the awaited destiny. This balance is the invisible throne of power. These 8 secrets are not mere tricks, but eternal principles. Machiavelli knew that in a world of confused voices, he who commands silence commands power. Respect is not won through force, but through the art of making others ask, "Who is this? Who says nothing yet moves everything?" From here on, let us deepen each secret, showing how to apply them in your life without losing dignity or time. Silence, when used with wisdom, is not emptiness but conquered territory. Many fear the void of words as if weakness dwells there. Yet he who masters silence turns it into a wall. Others speak, reveal, expose themselves. You remain quiet, observe, learn. Thus, while they drown in their own voices, you raise an invisible fortress. It is in the unspoken that the greatest dominion resides. Posture, which seems a mere detail, is in truth a silent sentence. Imagine a man bent before the world. He inspires not respect, but pity. Now see another, firm, stable master of his presence. Without a single word, he inspires reverence. Machiavelli knew the body speaks before the tongue. He who wishes to be heard must first learn to be seen. Thus, respect is born in the outline of every gesture. The gaze, that discreet flame, is more powerful than 1,000 speeches. A leader who holds his gaze needs not raise his voice, his eyes already command. It is not about staring with violence, but about maintaining firmness, transmitting certainty. The man who avoids eyes reveals weakness. He who sustains them shows he fears nothing. Respect begins when others realize they cannot shake you from your steadiness. When one speaks little, each word carries the weight of a decree. The secret is to economize syllables, making them rare. Those who speak endlessly hold no mystery. Their abundance breeds contempt. But he who measures his phrases makes each one sound like unquestionable truth. Thus silence prepares the ground, and the brief word becomes the seal of power. Respect grows not in abundance, but in rarity. Time is the finest of weapons. The man who masters waiting seems to rule not only his own life, but the destiny of others. He who hurries reveals anxiety. He who delays with calm shows control. He who arrives at the right moment, speaks at the right time, acts at the exact instant, appears as master of the clock. Respect is born when others see that your rhythm is not theirs, but your own. To answer every provocation is a sign of weakness, not of strength. The wise man chooses when to remain silent, and this silence weighs more than 1,000 replies. Ignoring a petty attack says, "You are not worth my time." Thus, the offender shrinks beneath your indifference. But when you decide to respond, the impact is immense, like thunder after long silence. Respect is born when others know your reaction is rare and decisive. Presence in space is an invisible throne. He who shrinks yields territory. He who occupies with natural ease becomes the inevitable center. It is not arrogance, but firmness. Sit upright, walk without haste, remain with security. These gestures mold others to your rhythm. Space, then, is not neutral. It bends to the one who dares inhabit it with confidence. Respect blooms in the territory conquered by the body. Silence and action, when united, form an invisible crown. Many speak endlessly but achieve nothing. They become worthless noise. Yet the man who remains silent and then acts inspires fear. Each act weighs like a sentence, for it was preceded by mystery. This coherence creates reputation. All know that if you say nothing, it is because you have already decided. Respect is born when words are rare and actions inevitable, sealing authority. Silent power is not only individual art, but social strategy. He who remains quiet before many compels every ear to lean in, seeking to decipher him. Collective silence breeds discomfort, and from this discomfort, submission is born. Thus, ancient leaders did not shout. They merely waited for others' silence to bow before theirs. When a man makes his quietude the center of attention, he rules without lifting a finger. Respect is the fruit of constancy, not of isolated gestures. A silence today, a firm gaze tomorrow, a restrained reply later. These small threads weave a web of authority. The impatient err by seeking immediate impact. The wise build a presence that ripens with time. Thus, when least expected, all already treat him with natural reverence. Silent power does not explode. It grows until it becomes inevitable. Silence, when practiced for many years, shapes not only the image but also the spirit. It becomes inner discipline. The man who learns to remain silent masters his impulses, governs his anger, controls his anxiety. Others become prisoners of their own words, while he remains sovereign. Respect is born not only from what the world sees, but from what he has conquered within himself. Posture is a language that cannot be falsified for long. He who trembles before difficulties will be revealed, even if he tries to smile. But he who, before the greatest storms, keeps his body upright and his face serene, inspires reverence. The body does not lie, it reflects the firmness of the soul. That is why posture is not mere performance, but living proof that will rules over fear. The gaze is the window of the mind. When it is steady, it conveys more than words. It reveals mastery over oneself and over others. Many avert their eyes because they carry guilt or doubt. He who keeps them firm shows certainty. It is not aggression, but presence. Thus people measure their own truths before your visual silence. Even without speaking, you become judge of their words. This is absolute respect. To economize words is not absence of ideas, but a choice of power. The wise man speaks little because he has thought much. The ignorant speaks much because he has reflected little. When your speech is rare, others listen more attentively, fearing to miss a syllable. The secret is to make words precious coins, not dust in the wind. Silence prepares the audience, and your phrase ends like a sentence carved in stone. Time is a river that drags the impatient and serves as throne to the patient. The hurried chase answers, the wise let answers come to them. Each pause, each wait, creates in others the sense that you control not only the moment, but destiny itself. This dominion is subtle yet irresistible. He who seems master of time wins the respect of all, for he makes slowness into a form of royalty. To answer everyone is to become a slave of everyone. Silence before certain provocations is proof of greatness. It is not cowardice, but wisdom. The aggressor expects reaction. By not receiving it, he feels reduced. But when you finally decide to act, your response falls like lightning after long calm. The strength of the impact lies in the contrast. Respect arises when others learn that your silence is not weakness, but calculated choice. Space is the invisible stage where power manifests. Those who shrink become extras. Those who stand tall and occupy their place with natural ease become protagonists. Being at the center does not mean arrogance, but confidence. A simple posture can shift everyone's attention. Respect is born when your presence alters the atmosphere, as if the very air were molded to your will. Thus, the environment bends to your dominion. Silence and action are two sides of the same coin. Silence prepares, creates tension, awakens expectation. Action, when it comes, strikes like a sharp sword. It is this contrast that generates respect. If you always spoke, you would be predictable. If you always acted, you would be ordinary. But when you join the mystery of silence with the precision of gesture, you become a figure of fear and reverence. Few master this art. Those who do, rule. Silence before the multitude is louder than 1,000 voices. Many must speak to be noticed. Few dare to remain quiet to be followed. The leader who keeps silent makes everyone lean in, trying to decipher his mind. Respect arises in the discomfort of others before your serenity. Power lies not in volume, but in calm that disarms. When silence dominates the collective, there is no turning back. True respect is built daily. It does not come from isolated gestures, but from constancy. Silence today, a rare word tomorrow, a precise action later. Each thread weaves a fabric of authority. Over time, that fabric becomes an invisible armor, impossible to strip away. Thus, without noticing, others already treat you with natural deference. Silent power does not need to be announced. It becomes habit, the invisible law of coexistence. Respect is not won only by what is shown, but by what is refused to be revealed. Strategic silence is a wall. He who reveals everything becomes fragile. He who hides part of himself awakens curiosity and fear. Machiavelli said, "The most feared princes were not the most violent, but the most inscrutable." Mystery is the ally of power. When others do not know how far you may go, they treat you with reverence. Patience is the sister of silent power. The impatient man shows hunger, need, weakness. The patient seems satisfied even when he still desires. This places him above others. He who hurries shows dependence. He who waits conveys mastery. Respect is born from the perception that you do not chase, but let others chase you. The throne is not sought. It rises at the right time, beneath firm feet. Silence is also a school of observation. While others speak, you study their gestures, their flaws, their weaknesses. He who observes in silence carries invisible weapons. He knows everyone, yet no one knows him. Respect arises when they realize you know more than you should, without ever asking. Quietude is the book in which all write without noticing, and you, the silent reader, become master of their secrets. There is no respect without coherence. If silence announces firmness but action reveals weakness, all is lost. It is necessary to align what is unsaid with what is done. Each gesture must confirm the image silence has built. If you remain quiet before the crowd, let your action be precise when it comes. Coherence breeds trust, and trust, even without affection, is the foundation upon which respect stands. Silent power also lives in the rhythm of breathing. It may seem detailed, yet he who breathes calmly dominates the room. Agitated breath betrays fear, anxiety, haste. Calm breath conveys stability. Ancient generals breathed slowly before their troops to show they did not tremble. He who governs his own breath governs the eyes that observe him. Respect begins in the air that enters and leaves without haste. Silence can be a weapon of humiliation. When a fool seeks to provoke you and receives no reply, he feels invisible. That emptiness devours him more than any insult. Many leaders ruled peoples through calculated disdain. Not reacting says, "You do not exist to me." This silent gesture is a dagger that cuts unseen. Respect emerges when they realize your indifference wounds more deeply than violence itself. Memory is the ally of silence. He who speaks less records more. Every detail, every flaw, every gesture of others remains in his mind. Thus, when he speaks, he uses facts others have forgotten. The impact is devastating. Respect arises when they see you waste no words because you collect memories. Your brief speech carries centuries of observation. None dares oppose you, for they know you never forget. Silence multiplies the weight of small gestures. A simple nod may become an order, a faint smile, approval. When you speak little, each sign gains immense weight. Thus kings ruled, not with long speeches, but with rare gestures understood as decrees. Respect is born when others learn to decipher even your bodily silence, as if every movement were etched in iron. Serenity is the daughter of silence. When all shout, the calm man stands apart. Chaos turns the desperate into a confused mass, but it exalts him who remains still. This contrast breeds reverence. He who remains serene in the storm seems to carry hidden answers. Respect is born of the belief that you see beyond the immediate, that you hold a vision others lost. Silence, then, becomes a sacred aura. Silent power is also protection against envy. The man who speaks too much awakens rivals. He who acts without clamor builds in secret. Silence cloaks him like an invisible mantle. Others do not know where to strike, for they find no breach. While they expose themselves, you grow in silence. Respect arises when, without fanfare, your presence has already become inevitable. Thus, silence not only imposes, but also protects. Respect is not only fear. It is a mixture of fear and admiration. Silence well used provokes both. He who stays silent before insult shows greatness. He who acts with precision shows strength. Together, silence and action create an aura of authority. Machiavelli said it is better to be feared than loved, but wise silence allows one to be feared and admired at the same time. Respect is born when others realize they cannot control you. The rare word, when it comes, is like prophecy. Many speak and are soon forgotten. Few remain silent, and when they speak, they are remembered forever. It is this rarity that turns speech into echo. The ancient philosophers knew this. They spoke little, wrote little, but each sentence crossed centuries. He who masters silence becomes eternal, for his few words are kept like relics. Respect is born from the endurance of the contained voice. Calculated slowness is more powerful than haste. He who acts calmly, even amid chaos, seems master of destiny. Others, taken by despair, await his decision as though awaiting an inevitable decree. Respect blossoms in that instant, in the perception that his calm is not hesitation but strategy. The power of silence reveals itself when all stop acting, waiting for him to move the first piece. Silence is also a trap. He who remains silent forces others to fill the void. They reveal secrets, show weaknesses, betray intentions. You only observe. This technique is more effective than threat. Respect arises when they realize that in your presence they cannot speak too much, for every word may become a sentence. Thus, silence is not only defense, but a sharp weapon that cuts by absence itself. True respect demands balance between hardness and humanity. Silence cannot be only stone, it must also be mirror. There are moments when a compassionate gaze is worth more than 1,000 counsels. Machiavelli knew power is not sustained by fear alone, but by the perception that you hold justice. Respect arises when your calm is not only coldness, but proof that you rule both heart and mind. Silence is also the measure of pain. He who screams exposes suffering, he who is silent holds power. Many leaders were respected not because they never suffered, but because they knew how to hide their wounds. Silence before pain inspires reverence, for it shows control beyond the human. Others ask, if he dominates even his own suffering, what chance have we against his will? Thus, silence becomes invisible armor against the world. In silence, imagination works against itself. When you do not explain, do not justify, do not reveal, others fill the void with their own fears. They create images greater than reality. This involuntary exaggeration becomes your weapon. Respect is born from the mystery that feeds fantasies. What is not said is always more powerful than what is spoken. Silence makes others narrators of their own submission. Solitude is fertile ground for silence. He who does not fear being alone reveals inner strength. The weak seek company to drown their noise. The strong man remains with himself, and that inspires respect. The silence of solitude is not emptiness, but fullness. In this retreat, true authority is forged. Respect arises when they see you need no audience to exist, for you are already whole within yourself. Silence protects against error. He who talks too much stumbles into contradictions, reveals unfinished thoughts. He who speaks little rarely errs. Thus, an aura of wisdom grows around him. Others believe his silence hides deep truths, when often it hides only prudence. Respect is born from this powerful illusion, that you always know more than you show. In truth, silence creates the mask of perfection. Silent power is long-term art. It is not imposed in days, but in years of constancy. Slowly others learn that your presence is stable strength, that your calm is a wall, that your word is a sentence. This invisible accumulation becomes solid respect, which is not undone by criticism or rumor. When they realize it, they no longer question your authority. Silence, patient and firm, has already become your crown. Silence is also a measure of greatness. He who holds high position does not need to shout to be noticed. The ancient kings knew, the less they spoke, the more powerful they seemed. Silence surrounded them like a sacred veil. Respect is born not only from the crown, but from the mystery that cloaks it. He who speaks little preserves this aura, and subjects bow not only to visible authority, but also to the emptiness that inspires fear. True respect does not depend on applause. He who needs praise to feel strong is fragile. Silence protects against this need. The respected man does not seek flattery, for his presence is enough. Machiavelli taught that lasting glory does not come from the clamor of the crowd, but from the firm silence that endures through centuries. Respect, when rooted in silence, is not lost with the absence of voices. Silence shapes patience, and patience shapes destiny. Many fail because they cannot endure waiting, but he who masters waiting has already won before the battle. This inner mastery inspires respect, for others see they cannot manipulate him with haste or anxiety. He who rules his own rhythm is ruled by no one. Thus silence becomes the key to power. Time controlled, life controlled, respect earned. Silence also reveals wisdom before ignorance. To argue with fools is to waste energy. The most powerful reply is no reply. Silence strips importance from the other, and he dissolves into his own emptiness. Respect arises because others see you do not lower yourself. The fool screams, but the wise remain silent. This difference creates distance, and in that distance blooms the reverence that separates you from the common. Silence, when used in the midst of chaos, is like a lighthouse in a storm. While all run, shout, and confuse themselves, you remain still. This firmness inspires trust, for it seems you see beyond the turmoil. Respect comes naturally, as others seek support in your calm. It is not only power, it is guidance. Thus, silence not only imposes respect, but also leads lost crowds to the invisible order of serenity. Silence protects secrets. He who speaks too much opens doors he cannot close. He who keeps silent preserves unbreakable fortresses. Respect arises when others realize nothing escapes your lips without purpose. Your word becomes trust. The ancients said the discreet man is worth more than the eloquent, for in him one can entrust what cannot be revealed to anyone. Silence, therefore, is rare currency, always more valuable than gold. Silence can be a bridge between fear and admiration. When you stay quiet before something that all expect an answer to, you create tension. If well conducted, this tension becomes reverence. Others begin to believe you hold profound truths. Even if you do not, you have already gained respect. The void makes others project greatness upon you. Thus, silence is invisible theater, where others write their own astonishment. In silence, discipline finds its home. To master oneself is harder than to govern cities. He who learns to remain quiet before the temptation to speak already possesses the strength of 1,000 soldiers. This self-control generates respect, for few achieve such dominion. Others see that your mind is not slave to impulses, but queen of itself. Silence in this case is living proof of inner power, root of all lasting authority. Silence is also a measure of freedom. He who must justify himself constantly is a slave of opinion. He who stays quiet governs himself. Respect arises when they see you do not depend on anyone's approval. Your strength is in not explaining, in not bending. Machiavelli knew that he who owes no explanations exercises natural dominion. Silence liberates, and that freedom creates an aura of superiority that draws inevitable reverence. Silence can be legacy. Words die in ears, but mystery crosses generations. Leaders who spoke little left deeper marks than those who never ceased to speak. Respect is born of what is never fully understood. Silence perpetuates the enigma, and the enigma keeps authority alive even after death. Thus, he who masters silence not only imposes respect in life, but reigns in memory. Silence grants immortality in the minds of others. Silence is a shield against enemies. He who speaks too much delivers roots, weaknesses, desires. The silent man is indecipherable. His rivals do not know where to strike, nor what weapons to use. Respect is born of this enigma. While they plot against you, they face the void that reveals nothing. It is the void that confuses, not the word that explains. Thus, silence protects you as an invisible wall, built not of stone, but of absence. Silence becomes authority when allied to constancy. It is not enough to be silent one day and reveal yourself the next. Your presence must always be measured, your voice always rare, your gaze always steady. Repetition builds an immutable image, and others begin to treat you with automatic reverence. Respect is not born of isolated moments, but of coherence that accumulates until it becomes destiny. Silence is a test for others. When you do not react, you observe who endures and who falters. Many rush to fill the void, exposing themselves. Few resist. This test reveals character. Machiavelli knew the prince need not speak to know men. He need only remain silent. Respect is born when they realize that before you there is no room for falsehood, for silence reveals truths that words conceal. Silence raises the value of the future word. He who remains quiet for long periods and then speaks turns his words into revelation. Like thunder after clear skies, all stop to listen. Respect is born of rarity. Each phrase is etched in memory, each gesture becomes symbol. The secret is not to never speak, but to speak so little that each sentence seems oracular. Silence prepares, the word seals, respect endures. Silence also disciplines desires. He who speaks of them makes them hostages of others. He who stays quiet keeps strength. The great conquerors knew to hide ambitions, revealing them only when they were inevitable. Respect is born when others see you never expose your aims in vain. Silence preserves the flame until it burns at the right moment. Thus, your goals are not prisoners of other tongues, but masters of their own time. Silence used in victory ennobles more than 1,000 speeches. Many celebrate excessively and lose respect. The wise man wins and remains silent, for victory speaks for him. Respect is born of sobriety, not ostentation. When you triumph and remain serene, others see that for you victory is natural, almost destiny. That frightens more than any shout of celebration. Silence, in this case, is invisible coronation. Silence before defeat also imposes respect. He who loses and screams shows weakness. He who loses and stays silent shows greatness. Others see that your dignity does not crumble with the fall. This self-control inspires reverence. Respect arises because they understand your strength does not depend on victories but on firmness. Silence in that moment is not resignation, but announcement that you will return even more dangerous. Silence is the greatest ally of mystery, and mystery is the father of respect. The man who lets himself be fully known is discarded. The man who guards enigmas is revered. Machiavelli knew the human mind fears what it does not understand. If you speak little, reveal little, show little, others will project infinite greatness upon you. Respect is born of the emptiness they create in your honor, making you larger than you are. Silence is inheritance that outlives life. Leaders who spoke little are remembered as giants. Their short phrases cross centuries, repeated like commandments. Respect does not die with them, for mystery survives. Thus, he who masters silence not only rules in life but also reigns in memory. Silence perpetuates his figure, turning him into legend. There is no power greater than that which endures even after death. Here, then, is the final secret. Silence is the language of the strong. Within it are hidden mystery, patience, time, action, and presence. True respect needs no explanation, only constancy. He who masters silence imposes reverence without effort. As Machiavelli said, "Force may conquer territories, but silence conquers souls. And he who conquers souls shall never be forgotten."